Let me ask you, what's happening in this country? Who owns it? Where's the money? Who took it?
Rochester.
Rochester? You mean like in the burbs here?
Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking small.
Do you ever feel like all you do is work, but never seem to get ahead?
I'm thinking the money's in the Cayman Islands. Yeah. GM not paying anything, Amazon not paying anything. Stock market's like this, and then nobody here got stock. How the fuck is the stock market doing this? And there's nothing in here. Right?
Like the system is set up for you to fail.
It doesn't make any sense. There's a record stock market. Who the fuck's buying a car? Look at my raggedy ass shit. I'm not buying a car.
You're right. It's a rigged game.
Look at it. It's not normal.
This is Detroit. Just half a century ago, it was the richest city in the world.
The reason we're sensitive about it is because we lived in it. You know, our grandpas were working in it. It still hurts. And I'm telling you, the rest of the country, I'm telling you, we were the spiritual, mechanical, and financial center of this country. Look at us. You think you're immune to it? Many things happen in Detroit. Greed, management greed, union greed, the financial crisis, globalization, foreign competition, laziness on our part, race problems. But what really killed it was Wall Street. That's what really, really pushed it over the edge.
Like a stout heart within the city is Detroit industry, which has put the world on wheels.
Cars once built Detroit, and Detroit drove America's prosperity. Now the city is a shell of its former self. From a population of nearly 2 million to 650,000, and enough empty lots to fill all of Manhattan and San Francisco. Charlie LaDuff is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist who quit his job at the New York Times to write about his hometown. Because Detroit is in many ways the story of America. A story of what financial greed leaves in its wake.
Go in the house.
I go in the alley.
Dan Gilbert owns that building. He owns that building. He owns that building. He owns that building. He owns that building.
Meet Dan Gilbert, a Detroit businessman who founded a private mortgage company in the 80s called Quicken Loans. By the 2000s, Quicken Loans had grown into the largest online lender in America. And by the time the 2007 financial meltdown came around, Detroit was ground zero for the housing collapse. Nearly 3/4 of all mortgages in the city were of the risky and suspect subprime variety.
Back in the day when we bundled the mortgage and they were giving them the pigs, you know what I mean? Dead people. Non-existent people, and they were bundling them into financial instruments. Dan Gilbert said, you know, from Quicken Loans said, I never sold subprime mortgages. So I know the people at the office of registrar. I got 1,600 mortgages originated by Quicken Loans. Took a random sample of the beautiful mortgages that he issued. Within 10 years, half of them went belly up, and half of the ones that went belly up were either stripped, burned, or occupied by squatters.
The financial meltdown in 2007 was caused in great part by the greed of financial institutions like Quicken Loans, offering easy mortgages and the promises of a decent life, even though that life had become unaffordable. And when those loans collapsed, so did Detroit. But not the financial institutions. The Justice Department settles its case against Quicken, which never admits to wrongdoing. While their borrowers pack up and vacate their now foreclosed homes, Quicken not only survives, but then thrives by going public.
A multi-billion-dollar IPO, and I'm told it will be one of the largest, if not the largest IPO in the U.S. this year.
The sale made Dan Gilbert the 17th richest person in America.
We think if the check cleared, Jim.
But Gilbert's business dealings in Detroit didn't stop with Quicken Loans.
We're very, very proud to have the opportunity to own this This property here.
Gilbert takes advantage of the fire sale prices he helped ignite to spend billions buying nearly 100 properties in a city decimated by risky lending.
He owns this block. He owns that building. He owns the building behind this building. He's gonna own this skyscraper. Wow.
Dan Gilbert had a little incentive for purchasing so much Detroit property.
Where's Dan? Where's Dan Gilbert?
Gilbert, who donated $750,000 to Trump's inaugural fund, seemed close to the president and his family.
Great friend of mine, a supporter and great guy.
And that is perhaps why he and a handful of other billionaires were first in line to benefit from a 2017 Trump tax break. It was sold to the American people as a way to attract investment in poor communities. But in truth, it provided a loophole for people like Gilbert to sink billions into empty office towers in downtown Detroit, while ignoring the poorer majority black areas surrounding downtown where people grappled with one of the highest crime rates in America. Detroit still has a poverty rate several times the national average, and 20 square miles of empty lots full of abandoned buildings.
Every town's got this. It's just, we're a spectacle. We're a fucking spectacle. We were number one, not New York, not LA, not Philly, us. It's easy to look at. Go, look at these guys. Laugh if you want, but you are Detroit.